This week on Goofing Off,
Things get spooky on anime.
Monica is cooking up a storm on Cooking Monica.
Drew takes a look at another cheap game.
All this and more on Goofing Off.
Welcome back to another happy, healthy episode of Goofing Off. I'm Cameron Blenton.
And I'm Kyle Glockner. Cameron, I have grave news.
I swear if you have another graveyard joke.
No, we're going to war. A food war on Cooking Monica.
Hi everyone, my name is Monica Wynn and this is Cooking with Monica. For our next dish, I decided to take on the mini egg souffle from the intense cooking anime Food Wars. No guarantees it'll blow your clothes away, but let's take a look at the dish before we head into the kitchen.
Okay, just a heads up, the anime makes this dish look extremely easy to make. It's not. It's very complicated. It's going to take you multiple attempts before you can even get close to what the anime has as a finished product.
Now that we've seen a quick glimpse, let's head to the kitchen.
Alright, what you'll need is heavy whipping cream, this is optional, eggs, butter, salt, and pepper for seasoning. First, you'll have to separate the egg whites from the yolks. It's a bit of a messy process, so be warned. Now let's take the egg yolks and add in some heavy whipping cream. Try not to go overboard because I think I did, but you're going to whisk these until they're completely blended. Moving on, in an electric mixer, add in the egg whites and mix them until peaks form. This is such a crucial step in this recipe. You don't want to overdo this because you could break the air bubbles inside. Okay, for the next step, remember our egg yolks? You're going to put that in a separate bowl and put in the meringue and fold them together with a spatula. The reason why we do this is so that we don't lose air bubbles. It's crucial that we have air bubbles for the souffle. The anime is very vague on this. They don't really show you that you have to fold the mixture, but it's very important that you have to do that. Once you've done that, add butter and mixture into the pan and cook on medium heat for 5 to 7 minutes. Then, cover to steam the other side on low heat for 1 to 3 minutes. The anime also doesn't show you a lot of the extra small steps like this. The finished dish should look fluffy and bouncy. Now, there you have it. This is the mini egg souffle, and enjoy!
What did you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below or tweet me at ZTV Goofing Off with the hashtag CookingMonMon. I'm Monica Wynn, and this has been Cooking with Monica.
Kyle, what are you doing?
They say that if you offer Drew a $10 bill, he'll give you a cheap game.
I think that's just part of his segment. Here's Drew with Games on a Budget.
How's it going, guys? Drew Brown here, back again with another episode of Games on a Budget. Today, on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the simple but sweet Metroidvania, Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight. Before that, though, let me explain exactly what a Metroidvania is. A Metroidvania is a term used to describe 2D platformers with RPG elements that include a large map that players are able to explore freely, among other things. The term itself is a mashup of Metroid and Castlevania, the two franchises which introduce these core concepts, thus birthing the term, Metroidvania. Now onto the game. Developed by Bomb Service and published by Playism, Momodora is a very simplistic Metroidvania, with a very simplistic story. You play as Kaho, a priestess on a journey to bring an end to a curse that has been plaguing the land. You search through Karst City in order to find the source of the curse, the Queen of Karst. The only way to end the curse is to kill the Queen. Karst City as a whole is a lot smaller of a map than in most games like this, but it is jam-packed full of personality. There are many interesting zones, all of which look very nice and add a lot of atmosphere to the game. The art and sprite work as a whole are expertly done in this game. All of the animations look very fluid, and I find the color palettes for each of the zones are very pleasing to the eye. It's overall just a very beautiful game to look at. The zones are usually relatively dark, while the characters themselves are styled in a cute, almost chibi art style. The cute-looking characters really pop amongst the somewhat lonely, abandoned feeling of Karst City. Mechanics-wise, if you're looking for a ton of different weapons and spells, sadly, this is not your game. Kaho's only weapon of choice is her magical leaf, which packs quite the punch. I really love the melee in this game because when you hit someone with it, you really feel it. They seem to have really put a lot of thought and work into the combat animations of both Kaho and the enemy characters. The sound it makes and the weight it gives Kaho when she uses it really makes it hit hard and feel good to use. Kaho has a dodge roll, which gives her iframes and is very handy in some boss battles. She gets a dash later in the game, and my personal favorite, very late in the game, she gets the ability to straight up turn into a cat. This helps her reach places she couldn't reach before. You can purchase other things from the store that give you other minor things, but they aren't really necessary. One of the most interesting parts of the game are the boss battles. There are many different kinds of bosses, ranging from bosses the same size as Kaho that are faster and have more attacks than her to giant bosses that use spheres and or lasers to try to stop you. The combat is extremely well thought out throughout the entire game and is an absolute joy mechanically. My only complaint is that it's a little on the short side. My first playthrough took me about 5.5 hours to complete and is a short experience but a golden one that is definitely worth your time and money. Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight is actually the 4th game in the Momodora series. However, it is a prequel. So you don't have to have played the other 3 games to understand this one. Momodora is actually $9.99 on Steam, Xbox Live, and PSN. It comes as a very high recommendation from me, but hey, what about you guys? Any games to recommend? Hit up our Twitter at ZTV Goofing Off with the hashtag GOAB. This has been Drew Brown, and I'll see you next time with another cheap game.
So if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation, there's no other choice.
Well, I'd pick time travel so I could skip this break. We'll be right back.
If you like what you see here on Goofing Off, be sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter.
You're watching ZTV.
Manners maketh man.
I thought to be a man you had to be as swift as a coursing river.
No, it's a line from the first Kingsman movie. You know what? Never mind. Here's Sunshine with Movie Snobs.
Hey everyone, my name is Sunshine, and welcome back to Movie Snobs, where we review the newest and hottest movies of the year. Today, while I'm not normally a fan of sequels, we'll dive into one of the most anticipated sequels of the year. So grab your tailored soup, your souped-up umbrella, and remember that manners maketh man, as we dive into Kingsman, The Golden Circle. Kingsman: The Golden Circle is a sequel to the highly successful movie Kingsman, where a regular English boy named Eggsy is recruited to join the most elite, non-government affiliated spy organization, the Kingsmen. Under the cover of being tailors, the Kingsmen operate at the highest level, stopping world-ending tragedies from ever happening. But as can be seen in trailers and the opening of the movie alike, things aren't about to go well for the Kingsmen. They are wiped out, leaving only a small team left to try to stop whoever it is that took them out. But they need help. They enlist the help of their American cousin organization, the Statesmen. Led by Agent Champagne, played by Jeff Bridges, the Statesmen are a Wild West-esque version of the Kingsmen, swapping British swagger for Southern charm.
As your American cousin, we'll be working side by side.
What do these do?
Hand grenades.
It's very American.
Yeah, it is.
The best part of the marketing for this movie is how little they actually give away. Sure, in a sense, you do see parts of most of the action sequences, as can be expected, but the plot lines explored throughout the movie aren't at all spoiled from the trailers. It was nice to go into a movie without true expectations of the villain, their motives, or any of the subplots that would appear throughout. There were tons of throwbacks to the original movie as well, reminding you of where this all started, but also how the characters we already know have changed quite a bit. Additionally, the cast was excellent. Taron Egerton was spectacular in his lead role. Colin Firth as Galahad had some good points, but I feel his return and his issues should have been better explained and implemented. Once you've seen the movie, you'll understand what I mean. Mark Strong was stellar beyond all belief, and this movie makes me somewhat angry that he didn't have more to do in the original as Merlin. Halle Berry played her role well, and Julianne Moore was excellent. I do have to give major props, though, to Pedro Pascal. He went unnamed in most of the trailers, which I think is a huge disservice. He is a major character in this movie, and plays his role as a statesman perfectly. I'm pretty upset he didn't even get mentioned in the trailers by name, though he is in a fair amount of the clips. This dude killed it, and he deserves credit for that. I mean, just look at what this dude can do.
We've got brains, skills, skipping rope.
asshole.
So yeah, major props to Pedro Pascal, because that man killed it. As a side note, if you think Channing Tatum is in this movie, he's not. He has maybe 20 minutes of screen time at most, and most of it is shown in the previews. His name was just used to draw audiences in my opinion, which is sad, considering that his inclusion could be why Pascal's name was left out. Regardless, this isn't a Tatum movie, but he does have a funny scene or two.
Oh, the Kingsman? Yeah. Huh. That's where y'all got them fine suits and them fancy spectacles y'all got on.
Exactly. That's right.
Y'all look sharp. Let me see if I got it right here. You want me to believe that it's normal for a tailor to hack through an advanced biometric security system with nothing but a little bitty old watch on?
To the plot itself, I think it was pretty good. I still don't understand fully the villain's master plan and how it all made sense. And there were a couple plot holes that I don't want to spoil. But needless to say, it was a pretty solid story that advanced well. It just had a few bumps along the way. Although, as can be expected from a follow-up to Kingsman, the action scenes were stellar. The original became extremely famous for the church scene that was so well done with so few cuts in the action that it deserved the praise it received. I was excited to see more of the same in the Golden Circle, and was impressed for the most part. The techniques that Matthew Vaughn and his team use when creating the Kingsman movies gives them films a real cool feel with the action. It's much easier to follow than the extremely jump cut heavy action scenes that most movies employ, and has a much more clean and polished look. Unfortunately, it is hard to live up to the beauty that was that church scene in the original film, so it was difficult for this movie to eclipse its predecessor in terms of action scenes. But nevertheless, the movie had some solid action. As for comedy, it was spot on as usual. While decently R-rated, The Golden Circle really had a good use for their language, and the jokes were always perfectly timed. The ability to combine stunning wit and stellar action sequences is what makes the Kingsman movies so fantastic. Additionally, Mark Strong's addition as a more front and center character created some fantastic banter between himself and Eggsy. And while the introduction of the Statesman made for some hilarious back and forths that the original couldn't match up to. Overall, I felt Kingsman: The Golden Circle had large shoes to fill as a sequel to such a fantastic movie. The action was well done, but not to the level I'd expect from a sequel. The cast was stellar on all fronts, and while I'm still upset Pascal didn't get his name in the trailers, I hope those that see this movie appreciate all that he did for it. Lastly, the plot was a bit shaky, but did well to at least fuel the transitions from action sequence to action sequence. The Golden Circle truly was enjoyable, and I'll be one of the first in line to see any more of these movies that come out. While I believe it did leave something to be desired, Kingsman: The Golden Circle deserves an overall B- grade. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, or tweet me at ZTVGoofingOff with the hashtag MovieSnobs to let me know if I missed something. Unfortunately, that's all for today. My name is Sunshine, and this has been Movie Snobs.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
H-I-J-K, L-M-N-O-P,
Q, R, S,
T-U-V,
W, X, Y, and Z crystals coming up on tutorial mode.
Hello everyone, my name's Cameron Blenton, and welcome to Tutorial Mode, where I show you how to make props from anime, comics, movies, video games, and many other things while staying on a budget. So what's today's project? Well, are the attacks of your Pokemon just not cutting it? Are you tired of getting badges for overcoming a great challenge? Well, search no further, for I bring you the Z Crystals, a gem that powers up an attack once per battle, once paired with a silly dance. So before we get building, let's look at our shopping list and a cost.
The first step you're going to want to do is to make your fake Z crystal. What I did was I 3D printed mine because it was easier that way, but if you don't have a 3D printer, you can always make it out of wax or clay or anything like that. It's all your decision. The next step we're going to do is how much rubber mold we'll be using. The Z crystal, as you can see, floats on water, so it will also do the same in the mold. So I had to make sure that there was enough room for it to just float to the top and still get that unique design at the bottom. We're going to fill our container with the rubber mold until it gets to the top. Then we'll put in our Z crystal so it can have that unique shape indented into it. Once it's dry, we'll remove the rubber mold from the container and go from there. We then pour resin catalyst, and resin dye into the mold. Leave the resin set till it gets tacky. Then you can place your craft foam on top of it in the symbol that you want. Then pour more resin on top and it will harden. After that, it'll be dry and ready to be removed from the mold. After it's removed from the mold, you can just use a rag and some white toothpaste to give it a little bit of a shine. And like that, you're done. The Z crystal will have slight imperfections, but I like that in my design, so I left them. If you don't like them, you can either wet sand them out or drill them out.
And there you go. That's how you make a Z crystal. So what did you guys think? Did you like the project or not? Any suggestions for my next project? Why don't you let me know by tweeting me at ZTVGoofingOff, and be sure to use that hashtag tutorial mode. And I'll see you guys on the next tutorial.
You know what? I don't feel like moving on to another segment. We're just gonna cut to break instead.
If you like what you see here on Goofing Off, be sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter.
You're watching ZTV.
Kyle? Kyle, where'd you go?
I turned myself into a ghost, Cameron.
Why would you turn yourself into a ghost? Does that mean you're dead again?
I did it for the sake of anime, and are any of us even really alive to begin with?
Here's Kyle with Animate.
Hello anime fans, I'm Kyle Glockner, and welcome back to Animate. In the realm of anime, hundreds of deep-rooted debates occur between fans every day, such as whether Attack on Titan is better than Dragon Ball Z, which adaptation of Full Metal Alchemist is better, and who the best girl is in Danganronpa. But one of the most heated debates I have ever seen between anime fans is dubs versus subs. There are a few times where I have seen people get more heated than when they're arguing about which format is better for anime. But there is one show in particular that is infinitely better dubbed than subbed, and that anime is Ghost Stories. Ghost Story starts off with elementary schooler Satsuki Miyanoshida and her little brother Keiichiro moving to a new town. There, they meet up with Hajime, Leo, and Momoko, and together, they form their own ghost hunting gang Scooby-Doo style and take on anomaly after anomaly, minus the talking dog in the sweet van. Sounds like a pretty standard show, right? Anime kids do spooky anime things and it's just a fun time, right? Well, that's where the dub comes in. So back in 2000, Studio Pierrot animated this new show called Ghost Stories in Japan. This show aired and flopped hard. The original one was so bad that when the company Animax picked it up to create the English dub, they were given 3 rules and 1 request. Number 1, do not change the names of any character, including the ghosts. Number 2, do not change the way any ghost is killed, as it is based on Asian ghost legends. 3, do not change the meaning of the episode. And the request, do whatever you want to make this show successful. The result was this.
We go with the snow, but not the snow that is yellow. We go with the snow, but not the snow that is yellow.
Let's end this episode with a happy moral.
Like if you leave children behind, pay your child support on time.
Deadbeat dads are not cool.
You're such brave, strong, handsome men. Have you accepted Jesus as your personal savior?
No, I'm Jewish.
I just want to make sure that you're saved.
Leave me alone. I'm doing my standard anime elbows up pose.
This dub has absolutely no limits whatsoever. No topic is untouchable, no joke is too risque, and no racial slur is too much for this adaptation. Every time you think this show has crossed the line of what's allowed on television, they pole ball even further down the path of no return in only the most comedic ways possible. As far as voice actors go, we have Hilary Hagg voicing Satsuki, who fans of Parasite may recognize as Akiho Suzuki and Yui from Angel Beats. Chris Patton voices Hajime, who also played the main antagonist of Soul Eater, Ajura, as well as Keima from The World God Only Knows. Greg Ayres stars as Leo, who you might recognize as Monokuma from Danganronpa, or Ganta from Dead Man Wonderland. Monica Rial plays Momoko, who I personally recall as Bulma from Dragon Ball Z, and Anna from Shimonetta. And finally, Christine Auten plays Keiichiro, who also voiced Izumi Curtis in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood and Esdeath in Akame ga Kill. They all do a fantastic job playing these characters the way they wrote them, and it's a refreshing change of pace to hear these voices saying all these uncensored lines. As far as the characters themselves go, Hajime is much more perverted as a character, taking on a much more egotistical persona. Leo is depicted as a stereotypical Jewish boy, and much of his dialogue reflects this. Momoko is depicted as a born-again evangelical Christian, and almost all of her dialogue has a reference to the Christian Bible. Most of Keiichiro's lines are changed to incomprehensible mumbles, and is usually made fun of by the other characters. As far as the plot goes, it is coherent. Animax followed all the rules given to them, and while the journey from point A to point B may be filled with dark joke after dark joke and fourth wall breaks galore, point A and point B remain the same. I can only think to call this dub an official abridged series, comparing it to the likes of Team 4 Star's Dragon Ball Z abridged and Something Witty Entertainment's Sword Art Online abridged. Both fan-made parodies keep point A and point B the same, but the journey taken there is out of its original context, mostly for the sake of humor. If I'm being honest, I'd like to see more content like this from official dubbing companies. Ghost Story's dub is downright hilarious, while the original show is lackluster at best. It's very clear that the writers know humor, especially when they have no limits. I mean, just imagine the official cast of Full Metal getting together to abridge Brotherhood with the original voices. The closest we have right now is the dub of Danganronpa, which is also a fantastic watch, but there really isn't anything quite like Ghost Stories. Ghost Stories was originally written as a book by Toru Tsunemitsu, while the anime was done by Studio Pierrot, with the English dub script written by Stephen Foster. If you have Crunchyroll, you can find both the dub and sub of Ghost Stories, so head on over to crunchyroll.com/ghoststories to have a spooky fun time. And that's all the time I have for today, but let me know what you think by tweeting me at ZTV Goofing Off using the hashtag Animate. Till then, I'm Kyle Glockner, and I'll see you next time on Animate.
Hey Kyle!
Yes, Cameron?
Are you interested in video games, anime, movies, food, and... What do you mean this is the outro, not the intro? What do you mean we have to leave?
Why are you repeating everything they say, Cameron?
What do you mean, why am I repeating everything they say?
Anyways, that's all the time we have for today.
Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube for extra content. I'm Cameron Blenton.
And I'm Kyle Glockner, and thank you for taking the time to goof off with us. Ha ha ha. I'm like the guy in Final Fan. Only I can talk about anime. Nico, Nico, ni. Stop trying to make a conspiracy theory. They're called that because it's on the board. It's in the name. Oh.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. To find out how you can make Emmy-winning media, visit the UA School of Communication online. ZTV. Make media. Make a difference.